Hello, everyone. Welcome to an Overpriced JPEGs first. This is an Overpriced JPEGs mini episode that is not a part of our regularly scheduled programming, but I wanted to answer the number one question that I received after my interview with Jon Rogers came out last week. So I asked Jon to hop back on Zoom with me and do a quick 10-15 minute recording session to talk about the Veve Disney deal. So I say all of this in part to say if the video quality is a little worse on this episode, if the audio quality is a little worse on this episode, that's because this was not something we were intending to do just now, but I thought it was something that folks might appreciate and would enjoy. And so I threw a little something together. So again, apologies for the audio or video quality, but you weren't going to get anything at all. So, just be grateful that you're getting these answers in the first place. And thank you, of course, as always, for listening and to the amazing Bankless team who makes this whole thing possible. All right, here's my little second part of a conversation with former Disney exec, Jon Rogers. I am back with Jon Rogers, our guest from last week, who spoke with us at length about intellectual property and its intersection with the blockchain. Jon, for anybody who listened to that last episode, will know he ran IP management for Disney for many years and really built out that department for them. So spent his career, or at least a good chunk of it, looking at intellectual property. How do you develop it? How do you maintain it? How do you grow it smart over time? And now he works in blockchain. So he's the perfect conduit for us to explore IP in the world of Web3. But in the aftermath of our interview last week, and we got a very positive feedback on the conversation. People loved hearing you, Jon, so I'm excited you're back. But there was one question that we got over and over again, which is, why didn't we address the fact that Disney is already into NFTs via their NFT collection on the platform Veve? I didn't bring it up because I don't know how to pronounce it, so I just wanted to stay far away from that topic. Jokes aside, I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Veve, though. It looks like that's what they're encouraging people to say. So we brought you back on to talk a little bit about that. I know you have some strong feelings here, and also to talk to folks about sort of the broader context, give some broader context into this Disney Veve deal. So with that, Jon, I was hoping you could just kick us off by sort of describing what Veve is for any folks who maybe don't know.
Yep. So Veve is a digital collectibles marketplace, similar to what you might think of like Dapper Labs or Recur, which is just starting up, or Candy, which is in the sports space. It's a digital collectibles marketplace on the layer 2 of Ethereum. So they've built on top of Immutable X, and which is built on top of StarkX, which is a ZK-based roll-up scaling solution. What all you really need to know about it is it's a layer 2 marketplace on Ethereum. And what's important here is that Veve has pursued multiple licensing and promotional agreements with many of the kind of key studio licensors that are out there. And so I didn't discuss
obviously being a part of Disney, but there's a whole bunch of big IP that you would recognize
Comics
that have done deals.
Yeah, it looks like they started with comics, really.
And so describe specifically what they're doing with Disney.
They're doing two things. The first is they're doing a licensing agreement with Marvel on the comics book side, and they're doing some licensing of the core, what we call the core characters. Think Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Daffy Duck, and so on. They've also done a promotional agreement with Disney, or what they called their Golden Moments collection, which was a promotional program to support Disney Plus. Now, the reason why I didn't get into this in our previous conversation is I felt it was a little bit out of scope for kind of the big idea of Disney on the blockchain. And it also opens up a big rabbit hole of going down what is promotions versus licensing versus publishing, which could be its own show. And now it's its own show.
Now we have this mini to dive into it. So I think let's do that. First, I know you're not inspired, to say the least, by this deal. Explain to folks why. And the three kind of key terms here, I think, for folks to understand is publishing, licensing, and promotional. Let me say this and tell me if this is right, Jon. Those are basically the three kinds of engagement with the blockchain that you can see brands and intellectual properties from the Web 2 world having with Web 3, right? They can enter into promotional agreements, licensing agreements, or publishing agreements. And what Disney has done with Veve is the promotional and the licensing. So talk about why you don't like this and what this means.
Yeah, so the promotional program, the way to think of it is think of like McDonald's Happy Meals. When your child wants to get the latest Pixar Happy Meal toy, you go to McDonald's and you buy a Happy Meal. And the way that works is it's a quid pro quo. I'm going to give you this for that. So what Disney is giving is the rights to make a toy, a very cheap toy, that's sold inside Happy Meals. And what McDonald's gets is a chance to use a very powerful intellectual property to market and bring consumers into the stores. So it's very
when I
much
was 6, I was like, Mom, please, I have to go. I have to get Ariel. We've got an Ariel, whatever, Happy Meal thing.
And my daughter's 6 years old, so she's right at peak Happy Meal age. So that's why I'm a little bit bitter about Happy Meals. Anyhow, but also what distinguishes them is that they tend to run for very short, limited periods of time. I don't like this deal that they've done with Veve because it feels like Disney's very first step into blockchain. The superlative of first is very valuable and important. Think back to the Beeple auction at Christie's earlier last year. Part of that price of $65 million was built around the superlative, the first NFTs sold at Christie's. These were the very first NFTs of Mickey Mouse and Star Wars characters sold on the blockchain, and they're essentially Happy Meals. Someone at Disney screwed up by making this deal. They were pushing a schlocky, and I'll be very honest, it's a schlocky promotion that was meant to push Disney Plus subscriptions. And no one ever thought about what was that superlative value of the first Disney Mickey Mouse NFT. And in my opinion, they left millions of dollars of value on the table. And what I would say is for anyone who collected these Golden Moments NFTs, hold them, or hodl them, I guess as the kids say nowadays. Hold them because Disney's mistake is going to be a huge value gain for you in the long term. That's not financial advice, by the way. But hold those because when the mainstream Disney collectors start coming into the space, they're going to be looking for those first Mickey Mouse NFTs, and they happen to have been these Golden Moments projects.
Now, is there a risk, though? So because of the way this deal was structured, where Veve doesn't obviously own Mickey Mouse, they licensed the ability to use the Mickey Mouse likeness, essentially, right, for an NFT. Is that essentially what that was? Like, the risk to the people who bought those is potentially that, Disney can come along and being the actual owner of Mickey Mouse, like, undercut or in some other way potentially devalue these licensed product NFTs. Is that a risk, I guess, is more the question?
It would be a risk in that they could come out and license them. So not promotional, but license them to other partners long term. So there could be 1,000 different variations of Mickey Mouse as NFTs, and there probably will be. Or Disney could do their own releases of them. Now, these Golden Moments will be the only statuettes that they've designed to that look, but still, it's a limited program. That's one of the trademarks of a promotional program. It's a very limited run program that in this case was meant to push Disney Plus subscriptions. And how do you know this, by the way? If you look at the website, which is still public as of today, you can go to the website and look down below to the terms and conditions, go below the small print to the ultra small print, and you'll find all of the details that this was a promotional partnership and a promotional program, not a kind of bigger long-term initiative. But that still doesn't mean that the NFT buyers didn't get value out of it. They probably certainly did. So we've covered off that what really makes a promotional program what it is that it's for a short defined period of time. It's a quid pro quo. Basically, you're trying to get something from each other. It's very much a marketing-driven initiative. What a licensing program is that it's more of a revenue-driven initiative that goes in potentially for years. It runs just perpetually. And what you're doing is you're paying a fee for the intellectual property. So in this case, think that a licensee is going to pay about 10% is kind of the internal number. It's variable, but 10% for discussion purposes. So if you go to Target, you buy a $50 Mickey Mouse watch, $5 of that's going to go to Disney. That's sort of how licensing works. And these programs run for a long time. This is the more common way for these marketplaces to do partnerships with the studios and the NFT marketplaces. And the reason why is that it's a way to come in and get going. It's a good way to scale quickly with some great intellectual property. We're seeing this already. Autograph, Tom Brady's company, did a deal with Lionsgate, and their first product was Saw, the horror franchise. Nifty's has done a deal with Warner Brothers, and they did the Space Jam movie and Matrix currently. So they're kind of on their way. Recur, which is a new startup, which I don't think has gotten going yet, but it's about to. And they did a deal with Viacom. So all of the Viacom multi-brand kind of properties like Star Trek and so on. So these marketplaces are doing licensing deals. Now, it's a good way for the marketplaces to go. Studios long term, it's probably not the best place for them because it's not really, first of all, they're giving away a lot of value to the marketplaces. It's low risk, which is good for them. But I see these as dipping the toe in the water kind of projects.
So what is your advice to big brands entering the space, facing this set of choices, promotional, licensing, publishing? What do they need to do?
My advice would be to think about the publishing side. Publishing is the real big opportunity. That's the massive opportunity. And what I mean by publishing is, this is Disney launching their own NFT marketplace, launching their own collectibles program, their own PFP program, their own one-of-one unique pieces of art program, rather than going through a third party, like say a Dapper Labs or a Nifty's or a promotional program like they did with Golden Moments. That is the big picture opportunity. And my worry is that a lot of these studios are going to take the easy way out. They're going to take the licensing is very much a kind of a low risk business for studios. It's give a license to a licensor or a licensee and let them sell it. You earn 10% on it. So it's very low risk, but it's also low return. The bigger opportunity long term for these studios is this publishing, where it's big return, but it's also bigger risk.
And so the millions of dollars that you see Disney having left on the table, does that come from the fact that the way this deal was, Veve paid Disney some amount of money to license it, and that's all the money that Disney will ever see off of that NFT? Whereas Veve has now published, to your point, the first iteration of Mickey Mouse on the blockchain, and resales of that, or if that goes to millions of dollars, I'm not familiar with what Veve's like platform resale royalty structure is, but presumably the gains off of those Mickey Mouses forevermore will Disney won't see a cent of that. Whereas if they'd published it themselves, that would be ongoing for them.
I do believe I do believe Disney gets revenue from the resales of these, so I do believe they're going to share in that. So it makes it a little bit unique. But the challenge is that the value, if they had published the first Mickey Mouse NFT themselves, would have been far greater. They would have recouped far greater revenue than just a couple thousand Disney Plus subscriptions. Now, I get the position that Disney was in, which is at the beginning of the pandemic, when this program was probably put in place, that they were desperate to push Disney Plus as kind of a way to help keep the company going during the downtime of the pandemic. So I understand their strategically difficult position they were in, but I don't think they fully understood the value that they were giving away when they did that deal.
And just to be clear, I don't know if we spelled this out fully, but folks who bought one of these Disney licensed Veve NFTs, Golden Moments, got with it a
Disney Plus subscription.
A Disney Plus subscription. So that's where that promotional piece comes in.
Yeah, one of the things, actually, I'd say the quid pro quo. So promotional programs are very much a quid pro quo. I give you this for that. So what Disney got was, and Veve gave several thousand Disney Plus subscriptions out to anyone that bought an NFT. So Disney got a sudden boost in Disney Plus subscriptions. And what Veve got was the right to make NFTs with that core intellectual property.
So the upshot of this, folks, is we didn't mention it on the last podcast because we had Disney's best interest in mind, and we didn't want to blow up their spot on what a bad deal they signed. No, I'm kidding. I just didn't think to ask about it, and Jon felt it was out of scope because we were talking about something that was so big picture, and this, in the scheme of things, kind of minor promotional deal that Disney signed with Veve is not something to really herald as you're having a conversation about the potential of intellectual property and Web3 and the blockchain, because it's actually an example of what not to do, according to Jon Rogers, who I trust far more than the person at Disney who made the deal.
Exactly. So So somehow the deal got made. They did it. So the collectors did they come away. They're going to come away with a great product, and they're going to be very happy in a couple of years if they hold those products.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, head over to Bankless HQ right now to develop your crypto investing skills and learn how to free yourself from banks and gain your financial independence. We recommend joining our daily newsletter, podcast, and community as a Bankless Premium subscriber to get the most out of your Bankless experience. You'll get access to our market analysis, our alpha leaks, and exclusive content, and even the Bankless token for airdrops, raffles, and unlocks. If you're interested in crypto, the Bankless community is where you want to be. Click the link in the description to become a Bankless Premium subscriber today. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for in-depth interviews with industry leaders, Ask Me Anythings, and weekly roll-ups where we summarize the week in crypto and other fantastic content. Thanks everyone for watching and being on the journey as we build out the Bankless Nation.